You may have heard about stress eating, or eating for the purpose of soothing one's stress or anxiety, or for the purpose of distracting oneself from stress and anxiety. But today I want to talk to you about nutritional timing, something a little bit different. And while all the suggestions and guidelines for healthy eating apply, what I want to add to the conversation of nutrition and stress management is the timing of what we eat and when. What we eat matters, but when we eat matters as well. The idea is to make stress management as easy and as effective and as efficient for ourselves as we possibly can. And one of the ways that we can help ourselves with effective stress management is through proper nutrition, but also through properly timed nutrition or nutritional intake. In other words, when you eat matters as much as what you eat matters. When it comes to nutrition and stress, blood sugar regulation is important. So, eating in such a way that you have a relatively steady level of blood sugar is better for you in terms of stress management than eating in a way that disrupts those levels of blood sugar, where you have spikes and crashes. When our blood sugar is steady throughout the day, we're able to concentrate, our mood is more steady, we can better handle stress, and we're keeping ourselves more stress resilient in that sense. But when our blood sugar varies throughout the day, especially varies widely, where we have those peaks and valleys, ups and downs, that's when it's more difficult to handle stress, to deal with stress. That's why how we eat, not only what we eat, but when we eat, makes a big difference. And although there are some variations amongst individuals, generally speaking, better timed meals, better timed food intake results in better stress management, more effective stress management than more erratic eating patterns. Skipping meals can cause us to be hungry and sometimes moody or irritable or have trouble concentrating. This is not helping when it comes to dealing with stress. It's not difficult to realize why skipping meals, especially for some people, may be quite detrimental when it comes to dealing with stress. Consuming sugars or refined carbohydrates can lead to those ups and downs, those spikes and valleys in terms of glucose levels in our blood. That is not ideal. As I already mentioned, low blood sugar can lead to not only fatigue, but irritability, anxiety, increased feelings of stress, inability to concentrate, and lower stress management functions in general. Beyond keeping your meals balanced and timed in such a way that benefits you, it's important to pay attention to your activities throughout the day. It may be beneficial for you to eat before certain activities, but not before other activities. Similarly, it may be beneficial for you to eat after certain activities, but to not eat after certain other activities. This is something that you have to figure out for yourself, because keeping your blood sugar steady, although there are wonderful general guidelines for us to use as a starting point, from there you have to adjust, you have to tweak, you have to figure out for yourself what works best. One of the things, for example, that is commonly mentioned is that eating late at night or eating shortly before going to bed is not a good idea. It stresses your body as it tries to process and digest everything you took in, everything you ate, everything you ingested. That is counterproductive to proper stress management. So eating late at night, especially heavy meals, or eating right before you go to bed may not be a good idea. It's not for most people, and it certainly may not be a good idea for you. Not only does it stress your body out by taxing it with all this work it has to do in terms of digestion, it can do things such as disrupt your sleep, affect your mood, and by extension, affect your ability to manage stress effectively. As I already mentioned, everybody's a little bit different, so your response to meal timing may not be the same as your spouse's or your children's or your family members or your neighbors. So pay attention to what food intake means to you, specifically not only what you eat, but when you eat. So timing is just as important as what you eat. The quantity and the quality of your nutritional choices. And as always, consulting with a healthcare professional who can offer some insights and guidelines, especially as they apply to you individually, is always a good idea. You may find yourself experiencing cravings, especially when you're stressed out. Research tells us that when we are feeling stress, when our cortisol levels are elevated, for many people, this produces cravings, different cravings for different foods. And while for some, higher stress levels may mean something like loss of appetite, for many people it leads to cravings, and more often than not, unhealthy cravings or craving unhealthy food or comfort foods. This is another reason why it's important to pay attention to your nutritional timing and how it coincides with stress. What happens to you individually when you're feeling stressed out? Are you one of the people who simply shuts down their need for intake of food and drink? Or are you like so many out there who is then craving certain foods, and chances are these are not foods that are healthy for you? So pay attention to your individual experiences, because only then can you make adjustments by understanding what stress does to you and what food timing does to you as far as dealing with stress and your ability to do so effectively. Ideally, all your meals should be balanced. If you snack, those snacks need to be healthy and well-timed. And of course, hydration is critical. Pay attention to things such as sugar and caffeine. Those can spike your cortisol levels and they can stress you out. They can also lead to cravings, all of which undermines your efforts to manage stress effectively. I recommend that you avoid anything that is extreme. Energy drinks, for example, have been shown time and again to be an unhealthy choice, and oftentimes even a potentially dangerous choice. So stay away from those altogether. If you're trying to keep a steady level of blood glucose and a steady mood throughout the day for the purpose of managing stress effectively, avoid things that will spike your cortisol, that will spike your glucose levels, or make you otherwise nervous or jittery. Anything that will make you spike and then crash is counterproductive to your efforts of effective stress management. The bottom line is eating smarter, not eating harder. We already focus on having as many stress management tools in our proverbial toolbox as possible. Why not make sure that our nutritional intake, not only in terms of what we eat, but also when we eat it, works to our advantage, works in our favor, rather than undermines our efforts to manage stress properly and effectively. If you'd like to learn more about a comprehensive approach to stress management, check out the links below.